And here we go. It is day 20 today. Pretty crazy. And this does count as your day 20 exit ticket. Just having it filled out is going to give you your credit. And you can use this on the quiz. So I suggest taking notes on this as we go through, just to help. So on the first page, we are looking at angles in a triangle. And numbers 1 through 4, our directions say to state whether each given set of angles could form a triangle. Now, if there is a triangle, then you're going to state which type of triangle the angles create. So before we answer these, how are we going to know if the angles create a triangle? How do we check?
If it adds up to 180.
Yes, so angles add up to exactly 180 degrees. That's how we know. And how do we know what kind of triangle it is or what type?
180 is, we got an acute where all three sides are angles are less than 90.
Right, so all three have to be less than 90.
And then a right is where one angle is 90 degrees.
Exactly 90, good.
And obtuse is where one angle is more than 90.
Perfect, one angle is greater than 90. Okay, so let's look at number 1. What do you get when you add these three together? 23 plus 5 plus 151 equals? 179 degrees. Is that a triangle?
Nope.
Nope. We circled no. Now, if it's not a triangle, technically it doesn't have a type. But if it did have a type, what would we call it?
Be an acute.
So I have a 23 degree angle, that's less than 5, that's less than 90, 151.
It would be the right.
Do we have a 90 degree angle? It'd be obtuse. It would be obtuse. We have one angle that is greater than 90 degrees.
Oh, so because of that, it makes it obtuse?
Yes, yes. So if a triangle is acute, then all three have to be under 90. If it's a right triangle, you just need one 90 degree angle. If it's obtuse, you just need one that's bigger than 90 degrees. So this would be an obtuse triangle. Okay, how about number 2? I have 33 degrees, 90 degrees, 57 degrees. What happens?
That's a triangle.
It is? It adds up to 180?
Yeah.
All right. So yes. And it's a right triangle because we have a 90 degree angle. Good. How about number 3? 127 plus 41 plus 12. What's that give us?
180.
I haven't done it yet. It's 180? All right, 180. So is it a triangle?
Yes.
Yes. What kind?
Right.
It's a right triangle. Do I have a 90 degree angle there?
Oh, yes, obtuse.
Obtuse again. Remember, if it's a right triangle, then there will be the number 90 listed. If there's any angles bigger than 90, 127 is bigger than 90, then it's obtuse.
See, I was right, and I got scared, so I erased it.
I swear we always second guess ourselves, but that's all right. That's good that we know now. So this is obtuse. Okay, now let's look at number 4. 62 degrees, 57 degrees, and 60 degrees.
179.
179. Is it a triangle? Nope. And what kind of triangle is this? Acute. We have 3 angles. All 3 are less than 90. All 3 are less than 90. Okay, so it seems like that part of this question is getting us a little hung up, deciding what kind of triangle. So if that is something that is getting you mixed up, let's make a little guide. I'm going to use a sticky note. That way, if you want to copy the guide, you can do the same thing because you have sticky notes at your desk. And let's just remind ourselves what has to happen to have each type of triangle. So, acute triangle. What has to be true about the three angles for the triangle to be considered acute?
All three less than 90?
Yes, all three angles must be less than 90 degrees. So if you have even just one angle that's bigger than 90 or exactly 90, it is not acute. It has to be all three. Okay, so there's our acute triangle. How about right triangle? Perfect. You just have to have one angle that's 90 degrees. Even if there's just one, it's a right triangle. One angle exactly 90 degrees. And obtuse? Yes, just one angle bigger than 90 degrees. Just one. So if this little cheat note is helpful, write it down. Write it down. You can use that on the quiz. If you find that helpful, definitely copy that down. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to pause this for a moment while we're copying answers down. All right, so just one more question on page 1. Number 5, we are solving for all of the missing angles, every single one of them. Now, just because I have the blanks listed A, B, C, D, E, does not mean that you need to solve them in this order. I'm going to tell you right now, you won't be able to solve them in this order. You'll have to look and see which angle can I solve for first. And also, I have not been writing this little M in front of our angles until just now, and I realized I did this last term and nobody knew what that meant. This little M just means the measure of angle A, the measure of angle B, the measure of angle C, if you were curious. So looking at number 5, I'm going to say one of the most helpful things, one of the best places to start might be to mark which of my pairs of angles we know are congruent, which ones are equal to each other. Are there any pairs that we can recognize are equal to each other? B and C, yes. And then D and E, good. So I know for sure if I solve for C, I've got B. If I solve for D or E, I have the other. Which one should I start with?
C.
C, that's the only one I can solve for right now. How would I solve for angle C?
180 minus 48 minus 31.
Yeah, so I know that a triangle, my 3 interior angles will always add up to 180 degrees. So what I'm doing here is I know that, Michael, you said that perfectly. We're going to take 180 minus 48 minus 31. That's the shortcut of the long-winded version where we say, oh, 48 plus 31 plus whatever C is must be equal to 180 degrees. So let me write that. 48 plus 31 plus C equals 180. And then you're just solving for C. And to do that, we could either combine like terms.
Combine your 48 and 31.
Or you could just subtract 31 and subtract 48 from 180. Both would work. Let's see, what are you guys thinking in this equation? What do we want to do? Combine them? Okay, what's 48 plus 31? 79 plus C equals 180. And what would my last step be here?
Subtract 79 from 180.
Good, we would subtract 79. Perfect. I would get C equals 101. So, from here, let's fill in our blank. I know angle C is 101 degrees. I think sometimes it helps to label the picture too, but if you don't label your picture, I'm not going to take points off. So we have 101. What else is 101? B. Good. 101. Okay, so we have B and C. What could we solve for next? Sure, let's solve for A. So I'm going to switch colors just so that my work doesn't get jumbled. Okay, how could we solve for angle A?
Add 101 and 44 together.
Uh-huh.
Subtract it from 180 or from 40.
Yes, perfect. Same thing we did here. I know, oh yeah, I know these three are going to add up to 180. So I know A plus 44 plus 101 equals 180. And we combine A plus 145 equals 180.
And then subtract the 145
Good.
from 80.
Subtract 145.
35 here.
And we get 35. Awesome. A equals 35. So, I'm going to label that. I'm going to label here 35 degrees. Okay, now we just need to solve for angle E and angle D. How do we do that?
48, 35.
Would they just be the same as B and C?
It won't be the same as B and C. We don't know that for sure.
D, to solve for, is it to solve for D or E?
For D and E, we need these two angles right here.
The 6
48 times 180.
44 plus 48 equals?
Plus E equals 180.
It's possible that could work, but we don't know if these are parallel lines.
I thought is it at the S word? It's 180.
What's 180?
I can't pronounce that word.
It's okay, you don't have to say the word. Supplementary.
Supplementary.
Which angles are supplementary?
The X.
There's an X in the middle. Guys, let's rotate this image in our minds and or in real life.
Oh, okay, I see what
So-
you're
Look at this.
talking about.
I got a straight line right here. Uh-oh.
Straight line, yeah, so
What
you
happens
have
with these
180.
two angles? They add up to 180, don't they?
Yes, so it'd be
Uh-huh.
79.
79 would be E, you're right. You know that B is 101. Angle B plus angle B equal what?
I'm sorry, what was it again?
Angle B plus angle E equals how many degrees?
If you say
180, yes. So we can set up that equation as well. I know that B is 101. So 101 plus E equals 180. And Star, I heard you got the right answer already. I think you did that in your head or something.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So my 101s cancel after I subtract from both sides. And
79 degrees.
yes, 180 minus 101 is 79. So E is 79 degrees. So D is also 79 degrees. Very nice. So it looks like you're solving for a whole bunch of things, but if we look at our colors, we're just solving for 3 angles. The other 2 we know because they're congruent. Yes?
Just out of curiosity, since you have the S,
Yes.
Could we also not do it as like a 360?
You could, yes,
And
you
then
could
just subtract
absolutely.
202?
Yes, so you could,
Okay.
Star, I love that you brought that up. You could also set up these 4 angles equal to 360 degrees. The only thing you'd have to know is that you're solving for D plus E combined, so you'd have to divide by 2 at the end.
Right.
Yes, but that would work. That, hey, it works, it works.
So I was just curious.
Yes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary.
The subline.
Yes.
Subline.
Okay, do we have any questions on the front page here? Everybody feels okay about all of these?
Yes.
Okay. What part do you think has got you mixed up?
Okay, I feel stupid, but for number 5, I don't understand any of it because there's like a whole bunch of numbers.
Okay, a whole bunch of numbers going on here. So, mark,
I get a little bit of it, it's just.
right, mark that one on your paper, and anybody else that wants some more examples of this one, we're gonna go ahead and do the rest of the quiz, make sure that we do get that done, and then at the end, we're gonna come back and look at some more of these. So I'm gonna mark that on mine as well. We will look at this and make sure that we all feel good about it. Okay, can we go to the second page? Okay. So now, the next 4 problems, we are deciding whether each set of side lengths could form a triangle. Now, this is that one lesson we talked about where your third side of your triangle cannot be bigger than the sum of the 2 smaller sides, because then those 2 smaller sides won't reach, it won't make a triangle, okay? So you guys remember what the steps are to figuring out if 3 numbers, 3 given side lengths can form a triangle? Yes, Michael?
How you solve it?
Yeah.
Add 24 to 12.
Ah, yes. So how did you know to add 12 and 24 and not 31?
Those are the 2 smallest numbers.
Yes. So we are going to add together the 2 smaller sides, which in this case is 12 and 24. 31 is the biggest side. So 12 plus 24, you said that's 36? Okay. So,
Yes, triangle.
yes, it is a triangle. Why is it a triangle?
Because it's bigger than 31.
Because it's bigger than 31. Yes. So, in case it's been a while since we've done this, I'm going to write out some little steps, just as a little guide if you need it. So for side lengths, we are adding, so add together the 2 smaller sides. If the sum is bigger than the larger side, then yes,
Nice one.
we have a triangle.
Nice try.
Nice try on
I
what?
got it.
What'd you catch?
Number 9.
Number 9. Ah,
Mhm.
yes. So that's,
Watching.
So it has to be bigger. Can't be less than, can't be equal to. Let's look at number 7. 48, 49, 50. What's the biggest side?
50.
50. So I'm adding together 48 and 49.
Which
Gives
gives you 97.
you 97, huh?
So, yes, it would make a triangle.
So yes, that's much bigger than 50. How about number 8?
65 is the largest.
65 is my largest side, so I add
27 plus 21 is 48.
48. Is it bigger than 65?
Nope.
No, not a triangle. Good. How about number 9? 30, 20, 50.
30 plus 20 equals 50.
30 plus 20 equals 50. Is it a triangle?
No,
No! Why?
It's equal to 50.
Because it's equal. If our two smaller sides, when we add them together, if that's equal to the largest side, it's not a triangle. It has to be bigger. It has to be bigger. 50 is greater than 50? Nope, not true. Okay, do we have any questions on number 6 to 9? Everybody feel okay about doing this on your own, number 6 through 9?
yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, now, number 10 and 11. We're looking at side lengths again. Now we are solving for the missing side lengths of these right triangles. Now, I tried to help you out a little bit. I did label C, I labeled B, so that way you know which one you're solving for. What is the theorem we're using?
Pythagorean.
Pythagorean theorem. What is the Pythagorean theorem? How's that go?
A squared plus B squared.
Plus equals C squared.
Good. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where C squared is always the side across from the 90 degrees, the hypotenuse. So how do we set up number 10? We're solving for
Choose which
C.
one you want to be A and B.
Yeah, does it matter?
No.
No, it doesn't. I'm just going to do
And I don't know
12.
why I always have the hardest time choosing, and it really does not matter.
Right. You just pick whichever number you want to write first. It don't matter. So what is the equation I will write?
You write 11 squared. Well, I have it as AP.
Gotcha.
So I put it as 11 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared.
Perfect. You can either do 11 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared, or 12 squared plus 11 squared equals C squared. It is the same problem. Okay, so I have it set up. What do I do first? Multiply? Yeah. Okay, so 12 times 12, right? 144 plus 11 times 11,
21.
121. C squared. What should we do now?
I feel like so.
Yeah, add our like terms. 40,
55.
265. Yes. So 265 equals C squared. What's our last step? Square root. Does everybody remember how to do a square root on your calculator? Okay, just in case, I'm going to show it on here for those that might not be here today. So I am going to just turn my calculator on, clear, and square root is right here. We're going to hit the second button, x squared, and now our little square root pops up. We want to find the square root of 265.
16.28.
16.28. Yes, and thank you for doing 2 decimal places. Makes me happy. Okay, so we get 16.28 equals C. And then we circle our answers. Always.
So how did you do it on the calculator?
So one more time on the calculator, what we did, I'm just going to clear. Above your symbol that's x squared next to 7, you'll see a little blue square root symbol. The way to push that, since it's not a button, is we hit the blue second button at the top left-hand corner of your calculator right there. And you're going to see a little tiny thing right there that says second pop up on your screen. When you see that, you hit x squared, which is right next to 7.
Second first, or do I
Hit second first, the blue button,
Okay.
and then push x squared. And on your screen, you should have this pop up.
Okay, I see it.
Perfect. Then you can type your number in, 265, hit enter, and you should get 16.2788206.
That's what I thought.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Let's look at number 11. Now, this time it does matter what number you put on what letter. We're solving for B. Which one is A, which one is C?
C is 27.
Yes. C is 27. It has to be. It's the hypotenuse. So if you flip-flop these, it will change your answer. 27 has to be C, so 19 has to be A. Okay.
It has to because it's bigger.
Yes, so our C is always the longest side, and it's always the side right across from the 90-degree angle.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
when
Yes.
you put the letters, like, will it, the C always be the hypotenuse? Like,
Yes, always, always, always.
I'm
Okay.
happy you asked that question because I had the same one.
Yes, no, see, I love it when you guys ask questions. It helps all of us learn. So here, we could even make a note of that. Let's do that. A and B are the sides that make the 90-degree angle like this. I don't know. A and B are the sides. C is always the hypotenuse. So if you wanted to make a side or a little note there, there's something you could write. And I'll keep that kind of to the side. Now, how would I set up number 11? What equation should I write?
19 squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Perfect. It's A squared, B squared, C squared. So A squared, 19 squared, plus B squared, we don't know B, equals C squared, or 27 squared. So, there we go. Now what do I do?
Subtract 19 from 27.
We can't do that yet.
19 squared,
Yeah.
361.
Yeah, we got to do our squareds first. We got to square our numbers before we can do any subtracting. So 19 squared, you're right, it is 361
Plus B
plus B squared. Good.
equals
27.
729.
729, that's right.
Square that. So we'll go in simple terms, what?
Say that again.
You have to square 27 squared, so it'll be in simple terms like the 360.
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. Because our formula says A squared, B squared, C squared, but we are only given A, B, C. So we got to get it into the squared form by squaring it. Okay, so now what do I do?
You divide, or not divide, but you'll subtract 361 from 729.
Good.
368.
368. Okay, so I get B squared equals 368. And now I gotta find B. How do I do that? Square root it. Good. So remember, second on your calculator, the blue button, go down to x squared, and your little square root symbol should pop up.
19.18.
19.18. You are right. Good. And then we circle our answer. please circle your answers on these especially, just because there's a lot of work we're looking at, and it's going to make my life a little easier when I grade your papers. Okay, I'll leave this up for just a minute before we go to the third page, and I'll pause this. Looks like we are. Okay, so let's go to the third page. Whoop, it's sideways, sorry. Yeah, it's also not complete, so I'm going to give you some values. So, for number 12, we have a special right triangle. What kind of triangle is this? Do you guys remember what we call it? Yes, this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And do you guys remember also how we would label the sides in terms of X?
X, 2X, and,
On this one?
For 45, 45, 90.
yes.
On one
Oh,
side,
sorry, wrong one.
Okay, I hear X, good, X,
And then
X,
X squared root
X
2.
radical 2, good. Okay, and then how about my 30, 60, 90?
X radical 3, X and 2.
Good, X radical 3, my hypotenuse is 2X. Okay, so this will not be written on your quiz. Have this written down. You will need it. You will need it. So, on your quiz, you will have a value given to you. On this, I have not given you nothing, and that's because I'm about to give it to you. So, for number 12, we are going to solve for all the other sides, given the fact that I tell you the side labeled CA is 45 inches. Okay. So, I know that CA is 45 inches. Ah, so BC must also be 45 inches. So how'd you know that? They're the same. They're both labeled with an X. So let's do this. As we see our values, I think what is super helpful is to label your picture as much as possible. I know that CA is 45 inches. So I'm going to go over to CA on my picture, and I see that CA is labeled with X. So I'm also going to write 45 next to my X. So if CA is X, and if CA is 45, then what must X equal? 45. Good. So if X equals 45 and BC is X, then BC must also be 45. So we have one side already done.
So then you have to do your A, B.
So how could we solve for AB? I'm sorry, guys. Hang on. Cedra, you go. I couldn't hear you.
I'm making a wild guess, like the X would be like a 45, so 45 square root of 2 or something.
Yes. No, that's actually perfectly correct. Yes. All we do now is I know that AB is equal to X radical 2. Okay? So I could even write this out here if I wanted to. AB equals X radical 2. I know that X equals 45, so why don't we just replace X with 45 here? Let's see. So let's try AB equals 45 radical 2. And you can type that in your calculator exactly the way it looks. I'm going to type 45 second x squared. That'll give me the radical symbol. 2. Just like this. I hit enter. 63.64 inches. Good. Very nice. Very nice. So, one of the first things that I would suggest doing on any of these types of problems with special right triangles is figure out what your x is first. Once you know x, you can find any of the other sides. Okay, before we try number 13, do we have anything on 12? Any more questions? Okay. So, number 13, this time I'm going to give you a value for DE. I'm going to tell you that DE is, let's see, 22 inches. So,
We gotta find that now to get this x, right?
yes, yes, perfect. So what Michael did first is he figured out what x was, okay? So let's think about this. DE is 22 inches. Well, let's find DE. Here's D, and here's E. So this side is 22 inches, right? This side is also 2x, because that's the law of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So, I know that 2x equals 22 inches, right? So all Michael did is he took this equation here, 2x equals 22, and he solved for x. So, 2x equals 22, and you divided by 2. X equals 11. So now that we know x, we can use that to solve for everything else. What would be the easiest side to do next?
Well, we already have x.
We do have x, don't we?
have FD.
So we have FD is x radical 3. So we don't have that one yet.
EF is 11 inches.
EF is just x, so EF will be 11 inches. Good. Okay. So we've got that. But now we can solve for FD. I guess we could have done it before, we just hadn't typed it in yet. How do I solve for FD?
Replace the x with the 11.
Yes, so I have FD equals x radical 3, and we're just going to replace x with 11. And we'll type it in our calculator. Let's see what happens. 11 second x squared radical 3. You got the same thing? Good. You guys should get about 19.05 inches. Okie dokie. So, that is number 13. Do we have any questions about 12 or 13? Okay. Which part do you feel like has you the most mixed up feeling?
It's not that it doesn't make sense, it's just, I'm trying to put it in my head in simple form, but it's just not working.
Well, here, let's make it simple. Let's make it simple. We can make the most complicated thing in the world simple. Let's make a little guide to help us. So, my first step on any sort of geometry problem that I will always recommend is any information that you know about the problem, label it on your picture right away. So number 1, label absolutely everything. The first thing you'll want to label is your x values, which you have this practice quiz. You'll be able to use this on the quiz. Don't mix your triangles up, okay? Label everything. You want to start by putting your x's on there. The second thing you'll be labeling is whatever side length they give you. So, for example, in number 12, it was given, this was what the problem told us, that CA is 45 inches. Now, let's assume that we had already labeled our x's. So I knew right here, CA is x, but they also just told me CA is 45. So I can say x equals 45. It's just kind of labeling things and seeing, well, if I labeled those the same thing, then they must be the same thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we're really just labeling what they give us. Yes. Well, I guess that wasn't really a guide. Label everything.
It was really simple when you just said it like
Well, good, good.
And that's going to be my note. Label everything.
Yes, label everything. Okay, now, there will be a bonus question.
What's it going to look like?
You don't have to do it, it's optional. Okay.
But you know me, I'm gonna do it.
Right, okay, let's see. So, your bonus question is going to be a lot like one of these, except for I'm going to have you solving for, take back what I just said. The difference is I'm going to give you a side length of something with a radical. So you'll have to solve for x with the radical, which is just something we didn't cover a lot. So I'll give you an example of one we might see. We'll draw a 30, 60, 90. So this is like example bonus question. Okay. Okay. And it might tell you something like this, like AC equals, let's see, 24 inches. So then you would need to find AB and CB. So, here's your problem. What should we start labeling on this triangle first? The X's, good. in between A and C. Let's check our guide. Here's a 30, 60, 90 triangle here. On my long end, that's right across from the 60-degree angle, we have x radical 3. So over here on my picture, AC is my long end across from 60. What would that x value be?
X radical 3.
The x radical 3 for AC. So I didn't just give you x this time. This is x radical 3.
And then the other corner of the right angle would be 2x.
Okay,
Bottom would be
perfect.
regular x.
2x and x. All right. And aside from labeling our picture, we could also label these, like the list of values. AC is 24 inches. AC is x radical 3. Okay, now how could I label my picture? What values do I know?
24.
I just know 24. That's all I know right now. So where would I put 24? What's it equal to?
X radical 3.
X radical 3, AC. So x radical 3 equals 24. And that's an equation. We can solve for x with that. I'm going to show you how. So over to the side, I am going to write that out again. X radical 3 equals 24. Now, when I have x radical 3, it's a shorthand version of saying x times radical 3. Yes, Michael?
You would just divide 24 by 3.
Not by 3. Because it's not x times 3, it's x times radical 3. Not by 9.
12.
Not by 12. I'm going to tell you guys, it's right in front of you.
3?
No?
3 times 24?
No?
Radical 3.
Radical 3.
Right.
Radical 3 is a number. It is. It is just an irrational number that if I were to try to type it as a number without the symbol, it would be infinite. It would never end when it goes in the calculator. So we type the radical symbol as part of the number.
You sneaky.
I know. So this is x times radical 3. To get rid of times radical 3, we just divide by radical 3. That's all. On both sides. Okay, so here's how we do that in our calculator. I want to do...
I got it.
Okay, tell me, Star.
It's 11.
It's 11?
Yes.
Let's see. 24 divided by second square root.
Oh, I did it wrong.
It's
Never mind. I did it
13.85.
wrong.
Uh-oh, what'd you do?
I just divided those. Never mind. Never mind.
And we
Figure it
get...
out for a second.
Ah.
1985.
13.8.
Yes.
6! We round up. I won't count you off for rounding wrong, but as long as you're in the realm. 13.86 is x. Okay. Yes. Now I know what x is, and CB is x, so CB is this number.
And now we just gotta do your 2x.
Uh-huh. So, I know what x is. I want to know, so AB
That is so cool.
equals 2x. How can I find AB?
13.86 times.
Yes, yes. All I'm going to do is plug in this value for x. We're going to do 2 times, yes, very good. 2 times 13.86. So you could even just have your answer in your calculator, times 2. 27.71. Depending on what you typed, your decimal might be slightly different. It just depends on where you rounded in your answer, but as long as it's close to this, it is correct. Okay. So that would be our side length for AB.
2771, is that what you said?
Yes, and it depends on what you type in your calculator.
2 times 13.
0.86, right.
I got, for some reason, I got 27.72.
Yes, and that's correct. So I didn't type in the rounded version. I just took my answer times 2. So it held all of the infinite decimal number places, and it is going to give me a slightly different answer. So if you rounded and then typed it back in, you will get 0.72. So I'm just going to write that, 27.72.
My best life and my kid is exiting school.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna call them and let them know. I'm sorry to be like 5 minutes late.
Oh, no.
I needed this today though.
Good. I'm glad you came.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you all are here today. I appreciate you. But guys, that's the practice quiz. That is the Unit 2 practice quiz. That's all of it. Now, stay if you want to do the review of, on that first page, number 5. We're going to go through a couple of examples like that. But do we have any questions about any of this? Other than that first page that we mentioned earlier.
Sing, right?
Yes. Yeah, turn it in. Or you know what? Actually, put it in your folder before you go so that it's with your things. So you'll have it when we take our quiz. Now, if tomorrow is canceled, obviously you can't take your quiz
How
tomorrow.
would you know if it's canceled? Like, do I just call in?
You will likely get some sort of message. If I hear that we're canceled, I'll post on Google Classroom and let you guys know.
Okay.
But you can always call the center and someone will answer or not. I don't know. Yes.
Have a good day.
Yes. Have a good day.
Bye, baby.